At the far end, the author of The Life of Pi, Jan Martel. Next, an actor who's just given an extraordinary performance you've all seen, Suraj Sharma. Next, the president of Fox 2000 made this possible, Elizabeth Gable. And finally, a man who just got off the phone talking to a tiger trainer. I'm not kidding. Ang Lee. Let me start, if I can, with a question to you, Jan. Nowadays, I think for many writers, the idea of seeing their work transposed to the screen has become, it's not a given, just a very typical event. But I'm wondering, did you imagine Life of Pi ever as a film? And did you imagine it like this film?
No. When I was writing it, it was very cinematic in my mind because of the contrast of colors, you know, the blue ocean, the white lifeboat, the orange and black tiger. So in my mind it was very cinematic, but even the most basic cinemagoer can realize that to turn that story, simple as the words are on the page, to turn it into a movie would be an enormous technical challenge. So, no, I didn't imagine it. It was cinematic in my mind, but I never thought I'd actually see it on the screen. I thought it'd be too complicated to do.
And then, after you read it, what did you first imagine in terms of, how am I going to really make this into a movie?
Well, I read it when the book came out. I found this fascinating and mind-boggling. But I remember thinking to myself, nobody in their right mind would put a mind for this. Because it's literature, it's a philosophy. And regardless how cinematic it is, it'll be very, very expensive, nearly impossible to do. And how do you sell this thing? I think the economic side and the artistic side might not ever meet. It's like the number pi. Until about 4 years ago, Elizabeth approached me, said that it's available, it would be a dream to work with me. And little by little, it started to become my destiny, my faith, so to speak. Yeah, it's a long story.
Elizabeth, can you talk a little bit about the whole technical armature that had to come into place to make such a movie possible?
Well, we knew that we could never make this film without a superior guiding light, leader, the filmmaker that was actually going to bring it to life. And when we heard that Ang was interested, possibly, I went to see him. And he said, why is it that a studio would make a film like this? It's going to be a big, huge movie. What is it that inspires you? And I told him that audiences are always craving something original, new, and we felt that under his directorship, we would have something that was extraordinary and that would be new to the world in so many different ways. And then it was just a process of working on the script, and felt that it would be a big challenge to get the script right. With our screenwriter, David McGee, he worked hand in hand, and the script was excellent. We were very excited about it. And then it was just a process championed by Tom Rothman, our chairman and my mentor, and Jim Giannopoulos, the co-chairman of Fox, for all of us to figure out a way that we could actually bring this film to life. And with the technology today, we were able to actually help Ang do that.
Was 3D always part of the package?
Well, it was later on. I mean, Ang, if I can speak for you just for a second, took things in stages. First, it was obviously the screenplay that he was very, determined to get right. And then, I think the idea of bringing it to life in a bigger way, but yet to use 3D in its own language was really important, and that was how it started to be discussed, and we felt that we supported that decision, and that's what happened.
I didn't think this is possible effective 2D.
So from the beginning, 3D
thought. Actually, I thought about 3D, which is before I know what 3D is. If I add another dimension, maybe, just maybe, it might happen. Maybe I see the circle. Because in a regular, like how we go about movie business, this cannot be done. Yeah, I was just thinking about, it's a silly thought like most movies are. starting with the city thought. Maybe another at another dimension. I don't know how and what it is. Maybe it'll happen.
And Serge, can you talk about how you got involved and how did Aang explain the role to you?
Initially, it was my brother. He had to go for the auditions, and I went with him. And they told me to audition too, and I did. And it went on for 6 months. I was called back. There were many callbacks. And finally, one day, they told me I have to go to Bombay and meet Dayan. And I was really excited. I went there and gave the final audition. And the first time I did it, I didn't think I did very well. And then Dayan talked to me. He kind of made me breathe in particular ways and kind of built that emotion inside of me. And by the end of it, I didn't even feel like I was acting anymore. I was just kind of an instrument of sorts, and he just kind of pulled that emotion through me, and it just went and came out. So.
You talk about the scenes when you were on the boat with the tiger. What was it like?
It was, the boat was pretty empty. There was no tiger.
No.
But, everybody made me see all these videos of tigers in different moods and different scenarios. And obviously tigers were there being trained, and I used to watch them being trained for long, long periods of time. And kind of this series of images of tigers in different, moods and scenarios kind of built up in my head. And then by the end of it, I almost felt like the tiger really was there, just wasn't there.
Let's get some questions from the audience. And